My life. Hey, my name is Jonas Brute. Like my last name, my life has been pretty brute. It's way more brutal than going to the dentist. Let me explain. I have been through a lot in my childhood. Something that mentally tortures me every single day. Let me tell you about my biological mother. She could read minds. No joke, actual minds. Like one time after dinner when I was supposed to fall asleep, I snuck into my dad's room, took his phone, and started playing video games. And as soon as the loading screen popped up, I heard a loud scream. It felt like birds above the roof flew away in terror. Jonas Brute, came a loud scream from the kitchen. It was my mom. My mom looked like a nightmare, spoke like a nightmare, and is a nightmare. My grandmother said she fainted when she saw how ugly her child, my mom, was. I took a big gulp and I had difficulties in swallowing it. Yes, Mom, I replied. No response. Mom? I said again. I sighed. There is this annoying thing Mom do. They do not want to speak to you from a distance. They want you to be standing next to them. I slid open my dad's door and slowly walked to my mom with game open on the bed. You were playing video games at 9 o'clock. Your bedtime was 8:30, my mom barked. How do you know that? I told softly in shock, because I don't usually play games. It would be the most random thing. Moms can read minds, she replied. For me, only my mom could read minds because no one else ever was in this kind of situation before. Just wait until I tell your dad, which was really bad. My dad does not like fun and video games is nothing but fun. Too late. Jonas Brute, came a loud voice from my dad's room. I slowly returned to my dad's room. When I opened the door, I was hit with a baseball bat on my face, and I fainted for a moment. The force was so strong it could send an elephant from San Francisco all the way to New Zealand. I woke up with a bright light above my head, and then my dad kicked my stomach, sending a tidal wave of vomit right through my mouth. You play games in my house, vomit in my house, you rascal. You black papaya, you human with no heart, you idiot, more idiotic than an idiot. Now clean up this mess and go to sleep before I hit you with this bat again. My father marched back to his room, leaving me on the ground, and even my mother walked over me and did not care. I lied there for 15 minutes. I could not get myself up. My nose was bleeding. My buttock felt numb. My hands were denying to get up. My head was feeling very heavy on me. I got up after a while and walked to the kitchen, dragging one leg, holding up one hand with the other, and slowly, I got to the kitchen, took 2 pieces of raw chicken, and rested them on my hand and fell asleep. I spent couple days just doing chores and reading a book. I was bored out of my skull. One night I got an idea. My dad was a poacher, and had a gun that he kept loaded in case I went to parties or did something too fun. I grabbed it and without thinking I shot both of them dead. I felt really depressing. I was 10 that time, and I shot both my parents. Without a doubt I felt I did something wrong, but on the other hand they had tortured me for 10 years straight, so they deserved it. I went to the nearest orphanage in the gloomy rain. I could hear many angry people because my neighborhood was filled with people who were never satisfied. I walked through this rain to the orphanage, which was 10 miles away. I went in and found a lady that asked me things about my life, and I told her that I was disowned and not the truth about how I had murdered my parents. With giant pain in the nose from the beating couple nights ago, I forced myself to sleep. The next day a family had come to adopt the best child. That day I was in brutal pain, and a kid from that family walked over to me, and looked at the blood marks on my nose, and the big bruise on my hand and leg. He saw me and sobbed for a bit, and then went back to his family and told his parents, "Mom, Dad, that boy is in pain. I think we should adopt him, and show him a nice life. Or else he will live his life in hell." His parents' face could tell that they were touched, and they adopted me. My family treated me like they knew me all their life, and had been the closest people. I was touched. I thought I could never feel parental love. One night I was walking home with my step-brother when a van pulled up and thugs came out. My brother ran for his life but was caught and kidnapped with me. We were in a chamber tied up to a chair. When the thugs left us, I bit my brother rope and set him free. He then opened my rope using a small pen knife he found on the thug's table. We took a bag with 5 gold bars and a map on it. We did not know where we were, so we followed the map thinking it was mapped at the location they kidnapped us. We went through the woods and into a snowy forest. Then a bunch of rabbits tied us up to a tree. They tied us up. My life is so weird. They hit us with thorny plants. I defended my brother too by putting my face in front of his. The rabbits ran into the wild. I was in such bad pain I could not bite any more, and my brother's jaws were not strong enough. I was in pain with a bleeding mouth and an eye that refused to open. I could tell my brother was not having a good time looking at me like that. After an hour at midnight, I could hear a noise of moving leaves. I opened my eyes, and I saw a white, orange, and black figure. I dared not to wake up my brother and give him a heart attack, but I could not resist the scream that woke my brother up. "Don't worry, I am here to help," said a snowman, untying my brother's rope, and then they both proceeded to untie mine. The snowman agreed to help us on this journey back. We walked through this big forest and the snowman protected us. Every single wild wolf was scared of the snowman. This was like a cat killing a grizzly bear. And after 1 month, spring came our way. One night before spring, the snowman said, "Farewell friends, spring is coming up and I have to go, but from heaven I will be watching you, seeing how you proceed in returning to your home. I will request my God to give you the right path to advance. Farewell." And then the first ray of sun came out and burned the snowman. All that was left was his nose, the carrot, and the stones. I picked up his carrot and took it on this journey while my brother took the stones. We were too hurt and broken to move on without someone who helped us, protected us, fed us. Man, my life sucks. We finally moved on and went. That was when we realized the treasure was under us. We dug out the last bits of snow and found it. I finally was relived. Then we waited for someone or something to take us back. That's when the same thugs came and pointed a gun. My brother started giggling. I joined him with a little tee-hee. When the thugs looked above was a police helicopter, and when the thugs turned around 3 police cars were there with their sirens flashing and 9 cops pointing a gun. The helicopter landed behind my brother and me, and a sheriff popped out with an G16, a really strong pistol, and screamed into a microphone, "Put your weapons down. You are surrounded by the police." The police rescued us, but when we took off I could see a carving of a snowman. My brother said, "I have to go. I must go to heaven with snowman. I must do it." In this journey I never got hurt. I never have felt physical pain. And then committed suicide. I could see blood coming out of his head, hand and chest. He was swarmed by ambulances. That has got to be the biggest and most brutal death. Now I live like how I am. The amount of sacrifices these creatures made for me to move on was heartbreaking. How many people protected me, how many people died for me. I was touched. I never knew someone cares so much for one person.